I know better, but I still react. If you understand yourself so well, why do your reactions still surprise you? You've reflected, you've connected the dots, you know where your patterns come from, and yet, in the moment, you still snap, you shut down, you over-explain, or you feel flooded. So at some point, a question appears. If I'm this aware, why hasn't this changed? If you've asked yourself that, it doesn't mean awareness isn't working. It means awareness is being asked to do something it was never designed to do on its own. Today I want to talk about why insight doesn't automatically translate into regulation, and why reactions live deeper than understanding, and what actually needs to shift for emotional responses to change. Knowing why you react is not the same as being able to stop reacting. Insight lives in the part of the brain that is reflective, the part of you that thinks, names, and understands. But emotional reactions, on the other hand, don't originate from there. They emerge from procedural learning, patterns your nervous system encoded long before words were even involved. By the time you're consciously aware of what's happening, your body has already decided. Is this safe? Is this threatening? Do I need to protect myself? That's why you can fully understand your triggers and still feel hijacked by them. This isn't resistance, it isn't denial, it's all about timing. Your nervous system reacts first. Understanding comes later. So, what actually happens in the body when you react? When emotions spike, your body isn't misbehaving. It's responding to perceived threat. In moments of emotional intensity, your nervous system often shifts into sympathetic activation. This is the state of mobilization, defense, and readiness. So what happens is your heart rate increases, your muscles tense, your attention narrows, and at that point, your system isn't interested anymore in the nuances. It's interested only in survival. So even if your rational mind knows this isn't dangerous, your body may not agree. And until the body settles, access to reflection, to empathy and flexibility is very limited. This is why telling yourself to just calm down often backfires, or even when someone tells you calm down, it makes you even more furious. Regulation does not respond to commands. It responds to felt safety. Let's make this more concrete with an example. Imagine you come home after a long day. You're mentally drained, you're overstimulated, and you're already tense. Your partner says something very simple like, "You've been really distant lately, I feel like we barely talk anymore." Objectively, this is not an attack on you. But in your body, something just tightens. Before you've had the time to even think, you respond very defensively. "I'm doing my best, I work all day, what else do you want from me?" Your tone sharpens, your chest tightens, and the conversation escalates. Later, you might think, "That wasn't how I wanted to respond." But in that moment, your nervous system was not responding to that sentence. It was responding to the state you were already in. Why modern life keeps reactions close to the surface? Even if your past shaped your reactions, your present might be keeping them alive. Many people live in a near constant state of low-level activation. You're juggling responsibilities, deadlines, notifications, family, emotional labor, so there's very little time for true downregulation. So you enter into actions already depleted, already tense, already stretched too thin. In that state, small relational moments carry very disproportionate weight. That's why reactions sometimes feel out of character, but they're not. They're just cumulative. A nervous system that never fully resets has a lower threshold for reactivity. Let's think back to that same moment we were discussing earlier with your partner. If that conversation had happened after you've rested, after you've had some food, after some emotional decompression, your response might have been very different. Not because you suddenly became more mature, but because your system had more capacity. This is a very important distinction. Reactivity is often a state issue, not a personality flaw. What does regulation actually require? You don't change reactions by trying to be calmer. You change them by creating safety in the body. Regulation is not a mindset, it's a physiological process. Your nervous system learns regulation through repeated experiences of activation followed by recovery. What does this mean? It means pausing before responding, orienting to the present moment, using breath and movement or grounding to signal safety. Over time, your system learns, I can stay present. I don't need to defend myself immediately. This feeling will pass. Only then does insight become usable, because reflection requires regulation. Again, let's go back to the example we were discussing earlier. So that moment with your partner. Now, again, same day, same comment, but this time you notice the activation in your body. You feel the tightness in your chest. You feel the urge to defend. But instead of responding immediately, you pause. You slow your breath. You let the initial wave pass, and then you respond differently. You say something like, I'm exhausted and I really feel overwhelmed, but I hear that you're feeling disconnected. That response is not perfect, but it's regulated. And regulation changes the entire direction of the interaction. What does progress actually look like? Progress doesn't look like never reacting. It looks like recovering faster and repairing sooner each time. At first, the change is very subtle. You will still react, but you will notice it earlier. You still feel activated, but you come back to the baseline faster. You repair more quickly, and above all, you take responsibility sooner. Over time, your nervous system updates, not because you forced it, but because it has experienced something new. It has experienced safety, pausing, choice. That's how patterns change. Self-awareness is the beginning and not the end of emotional change. If you've been frustrated that insight hasn't fixed your reactions, it doesn't mean that insight failed. It means regulation was missing. Regulation is learned in the body through safety, repetition, and recovery. So instead of asking, why do I still react this way? Try asking, what does my nervous system need in this moment? Emotional change doesn't come from understanding alone. It comes from experience, and experience can be built.